Good morning. Thank you for participating in this Hawaii Betsuin Bodhi Day service. As you know, Bodhi Day is celebrated. Siddhartha became the Buddha at the age of 35, about 2,500 years ago. Through this service, we should express an appreciation to Shakyamuni Buddha. So let's start service.
Lord. Well, good morning. Happy Bodhi Day season to all. My name is David Atcheson, and I'm a board member of the Hawaii Betsuin Temple. Today I'm coming to you from Seattle, and I'm so happy to be with you. I'd like to first express my sincere appreciation to Rinban Hagio for asking me to be your speaker today for this Bodhi Day service, in which we commemorate the awakening of Siddhartha Gautama under the Bodhi tree over 2,500 years ago. Upon awakening, Siddhartha became the historical Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, and dedicated the rest of his life to sharing the teachings that illuminate our path out of the darkness of human suffering. So I'd like to begin my talk today with a reading from the Teaching of Buddha, published by BDK. The sun rises in the eastern sky and clears away the darkness of the world without prejudice or favoritism toward any particular region. So Buddha's compassion encompasses all people, encouraging them to do right and guides them against evil. Thus, he clears away the darkness of ignorance and leads people to enlightenment. The Teaching of Buddha. So I've entitled my talk today, Be Prepared. And if you were a Boy Scout or had a Boy Scout in your family, you might recognize Be Prepared as the Scout motto. I was a Scout myself from age 11 through age 17 in Seattle. So recently I was reflecting on some parallels, at least superficial ones, between Boy Scouts and Buddhism. For example, in Scouts, there's a Scout oath that begins, "On my honor, I will do my best." And in Jodo Shinshu, we have the Golden Chain of Love, and now our pledge, written by the Gomonshu. Both Buddhism and Scouts have handbooks full of guidance. And also think of the mudras, or the hand positions in Buddhism, such as in the Amida Buddha statue, or hands together in Gasho. In Scouts, there's the Scout sign and the Scout salute. Scouts also have something called the 10 Essentials, which brings me closer to the theme of my talk today. The 10 Essentials include things that you want to be sure to take on hikes, such as a flashlight, water, extra clothes, and a knife, and 6 others, of course. So I'm a Life Scout, 1 rank below Eagle, so you might guess that I would be prepared with the 10 Essentials on hikes. But I'm also a bombu, a foolish being. Anyway, a few days before Thanksgiving 2019, when I went out for a combination run and hike in the Ko'olau Mountains, I did not have a single one of the 10 Essentials with me. I'd started doing these combination run hikes as a way to get into nature while training. I would run to a trailhead from our apartment near downtown Honolulu, hike, and then run home. One loop trip I used to do was to run up Pali Highway to the Judd Trail, hike to the top of the ridge, traverse Pa'oa Flats above Manoa Valley, then cross Round Top Drive and hike out the Makiki Valley trails before running home. It was about a 13-mile loop, half marathon distance. So anyway, back to November 2019, when I decided to do the loop a little bit later in the day than usual. It was sometime in the mid-afternoon. Oh, it's not really that late, I thought. I'll detour to my community garden plot and water the plants on my way. And then I thought, I've never done the loop counterclockwise. I think I'll try it. Well, you can probably see where this is going. So let me fast forward to the good part. So I'd run from downtown to the Hawaii Nature Center and hiked way up to where the route exited the bamboo thicket and crossed Round Top Drive. I looked at my watch and saw it was about 5 o'clock. Should I or shouldn't I? I thought to myself. Maybe I should just run down Round Top Drive, and call that my loop. But no, I crossed Round Top Drive to the Manoa Cliffs Trail and quickened my step because I knew I was in a race with the light. But at the same time, I didn't want to go too fast and twist an ankle. Soon, I paused to eat some juicy, sweet strawberry guava that were hanging right above the trail. Farther along, I came to a fork in the trail. Now, when hiking clockwise, this was not a decision point, but going counterclockwise, it was. So, needless to say, I did not have a map, which is another of the 10 essentials. So I picked the left fork. By the time I decided it was the wrong one and got back to the main trail, I'd lost about 10 or 15 precious minutes. So I forged on faster now and made it through the Po'oa Flats area with just enough light to see my footing. I got to one of my favorite spots, an open area with a great view to Po'oa Valley, where Punch Bowl was silhouetted, just barely. I could still see it. I savored it briefly because it started to occur to me that as soon as I got off the ridge, I'd be descending into heavy forest and the little light that I still had would quickly dwindle. Also, I thought about a spot lower down that was a bit hard to follow even in full daylight. Sure enough, as soon as I started descending to Nu'uanu Valley, so did darkness. My eyes did their best to adjust, but I had many switchbacks to go, and even heavier forest of cook pines to come. Coming towards me, I was surprised to see a figure with a flashlight. After greeting him, all I could think to add was, good idea to bring a flashlight. I just remember him nodding and saying, good luck, as we continued on in our opposite directions. I think he was even more surprised to see me than I was to see him. Well, soon I was in complete darkness. I had to slow way down. Feeling the trail with my feet, holding my arms out in front of me. The only way I knew I'd reach the end of a switchback was through feel. Bare trail would change to rough forest floor, and I'd know it was time to turn. It was going okay though. I could handle slow as long as I could keep going. But then I finally reached that part that was hard to follow even during the day, and I lost the trail. I guessed I still had about a mile to go at that point. I considered staying put until the morning light, but I felt I knew roughly which direction to go and decided to go on even more slowly, and slower still after I ran my knee into a boulder that was literally right in front of me. I just didn't see it. Soon I was walking on something that felt like it could be a trail again. Even though it was going more to the left and my gut said I should be going more to the right, I followed it. I felt if I could just get down to Nu'uanu Stream, I'd be okay. Then it would just be a matter of going upstream to the crossing where a short access trail comes down from the Nu'uanu Pali Drive. So I descended further and began to hear the stream. Pretty soon, partly on my feet, partly on the seat of my shorts, I was there. Phew! I knew the way now. The way was dark, wet, and strewn with boulders and roots, but I was out of the woods, metaphorically, if not yet literally. So I began picking my way upstream and started thinking about arriving back at the apartment. Would my wife be worried? What kind of smoothie would I make? Well, it turned out I was getting ahead of myself, though. My left foot went into a deep hole, and when I pulled it back out, there was no shoe on it. What? Oh no! I'd been so close. How could I do a half mile of trail with one shoe, let alone run home? I felt around for the shoe. There was nothing but rock, mud, and water. Maybe it floated down a ways, I thought, so I felt around downstream. Still nothing. One last try around where I guessed it had come off. Ah, something squishy, a sole. I'd found it. Phew, again. Well, it was slow going as I blindly clambered upstream, but eventually I got to the crossing. I waded across and then felt my way up a wide, short trail toward Nu'uanupali Drive. There was a group of about a dozen people with flashlights just off the road, preparing for some kind of activity. Was it night hiking? A nocturnal survey? I don't know. Anyway, I called out to warn them, but they were still a little startled to see me emerge from the dark in my running clothes, looking muddy and lost. They asked me if I knew where I was. I assured them I did, and started a slow run back to Pali Highway and on down, water squishing out of my shoes. I was extremely thirsty and was overjoyed to see a well-lit water fountain at one of the churches along Pali Highway. It appeared almost like a shrine. It helped me make it those last couple miles home. I sure needed it. Well, I knew right away that this experience was rich with lessons and connections to Buddhist teachings. For one, it was such a clear example of causes and conditions leading to a problem. Not to mention my bombu, or foolish nature, and my ego's role in the decisions that I'd made that day. I thought of Reverend Dr. Kenneth Tanaka's phrase for the First Noble Truth: life is a bumpy road. Life can be a rocky, rooty trail, and sometimes you lose your way. And how about that man with a flashlight going up while I was going down? He was kind of like a bodhisattva, returning to the world of suffering to guide others to the Pure Land. Even while reflecting, though, my ego asserted itself. I thought, that bodhisattva must have passed me by because it looked like I could make it on my own, even in the dark. So consider that part of my story where I've just gotten to the stream and I have that feeling, now I know for sure I will make it home. For me, it's a helpful metaphor for Shinjin, what we describe in Jodo Shinshu as true and trusting, or reaching the stage of the truly settled. In my layperson's understanding, this means that although you haven't reached the ultimate destination of awakening, and you're not sure what life holds in store, any doubts about ultimately reaching complete oneness with the Buddha are gone. I've heard ministers in their talks say that Shinjin is not something that you proclaim. In fact, proclaiming it may be a sign that you're not in the stage of the truly settled. I think the metaphor of my story, though, continues to work here too, because shortly after exclaiming to myself, "The stream, I'm saved," life came along and took away my shoe. It was kind of like saying, okay, how about now? Still feeling truly settled? So Shinran Shonin is the founder of our tradition of Jodo Shin Buddhism. His great gift to us is clearing the Nembutsu path, well lit with his insights into the Buddha's teaching, accessible to all. While we are not able to see in this life true reality as the Buddha first did under the Bodhi tree, we can join with Shinran in recognizing that no matter how limited, selfish, and bombu we may be, we are all unceasingly embraced by the boundless wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha. And we naturally say, Namo Amida Butsu, in profound recognition and gratitude. So before I end my talk, I'd like to share another passage from BDK's The Teaching of Buddha. The beginnings of faith were long ago planted by the compassion of the Buddha. When one has faith, one should realize this fact and be very grateful to Buddha for his goodness. One should never forget that it is not because of one's own compassion that one has awakened faith, but because of the Buddha's compassion, which long ago threw its pure light of faith into human minds and dispelled the darkness of their ignorance. So thinking back to the notion of the 10 essentials, you might say that in Jodo Shinshu there is one essential, the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, reciting the Buddha's honored name. This is an essential that you don't have to buy or earn, and it goes wherever you go. There's no chance you'll forget to pack it. So let's all express that truth right now by reciting the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Well, thank you everyone for listening, and mahalo. Please stay safe and well. Happy Bodhi Day and happy trails.
Now, due to pandemic situations, we should keep distance and safety. So someday we are able to meet you again. So please take care of yourself. Thank you very much. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Good morning. My name is Arlene, and I'm a member of Honpa Hongwanji Hawaii Betsuin. I grew up on the Big Island of Hawaii and have attended Sunday school since I was a child. Depending on where we lived, I attended Pauwilo Hongwanji, Honoka Hongwanji, Hilo Hongwanji, and Kona Hongwanji. And since 1971, I have been a member of Hawaii Betsuin. You know, this COVID pandemic has affected so many of us on so many levels. There are dark and gloomy days. Some find opportunity, and yet people are losing their jobs and even their homes. I remember when my mom used to say, whenever you wake up and it's dark and gloomy, look in the mirror and smile. And think of just three things that you can be grateful for. And this will set the tone of the day, because when you're grateful, you feel kindness and you feel good. I'd like to share with you some of the things that I am grateful for during this time. Besides my family and friends, of course, I'm so grateful for the ability to Zoom. You know, Zooming is huge. Through Zoom, I can attend, like many of you, I'm sure, I can attend online services, Sunday services, participate in monthly BWA meetings, activities, workshops, even doing yoga, stretch exercises online. We do telehealth, have health and medical consult, and even sewing sessions. Very grateful for the ability to Zoom so we can communicate with our family and our friends. I'm also very grateful that I can carry out my one passion of sewing. I love to sew. In the beginning of the pandemic, in the early months of March and April, friends at our congregation, and also particularly our multi-night group, as well as my friends in the community, sewed over 3,000 masks and distributed to hospitals, care homes, health centers, and other care facilities. And last month, our BWA was able to send 400 masks to Lanai. So we're really grateful to help out in that way. Reverend Hasebi has also suggested that I may share with you some of the other items that I've sewn during this sort of mandatory stay home period. So let me just share with you a few of my items. And these are all done with fabric scraps, multi-nice scraps. These are pot holders made from scrap material. I have pin cushions that are made into teacups from silk scraps. And I have this little pouch. It's a triangular pouch that my grandchildren love to use to put their earbuds, their computer chargers, batteries in there and tote around. I also do bags, and some of these bags are according to their school color for my grandchildren. These are all fabric remnants, and they're expandable, so we can extend it. They love to carry these around. I also do some pillows for my grandchildren. And I wanted to show you one particular item that many of you might recognize. Some of you are too young, but this is how rice used to come before in bags. And this is a large pot holder or a pan holder that my son, who is a chef, owner of Feast Restaurant, asked me to do this because he has to use large pans in the oven. And he asked me to put an elastic behind so it will stay in place. So that's some of the things that I have done. In closing, I would like to offer each of you best wishes for the holidays. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have gratitude. Namo Amida Butsu.